Hi, hello, and welcome back to another round of the 3-pin challenge. It's your girl Marlon here to show you her little creation she has created. This video would be kinda long. I have 3 characters I want to share with you today. This story is in fact connected to episode 2, Cad Highgate. These 3 beautiful characters are in fact his wives. I told you I would continue this story. Also, if it seems like I am making this up on the spot, it's because I am. I didn't really put much thought into these backstories / love stories. I literally got an idea and just rolled with it, so bear with me. Let's get started. These were the 3 pins that I got for this character. I got grayish brown wings with gold tips for each feather, a brown half up, half down styled wig, and a pastel outfit that reminds me of a magical girl. To be honest, I wasn't looking forward to drawing the outfit because I hate drawing detailed outfits. I always get frustrated halfway through it and rush it. And then I'm never satisfied with the final product, or the details are so small that I always forget them. But besides my lack of confidence, I still at least attempted the outfit. This was the first drawing I made, so it might not look similar to the others. One thing you'll notice is that the characters will have wings. That's why I decided to group them all up together and make them goddesses. This character is named Lady Laura. She's the goddess of the day and wishes. She controls the sun and grants wishes of her followers. When I was thinking about her power I wanted her to have, my brain was thinking about the Wish movie for some reason. I was inspired by the concept of people placing their wishes into the care of someone and having the chance of them being granted. But unlike Wish, everyone will remember their wishes and they won't simply forget them. Another thing that I love is she won't actually grant them. She will just give you the necessary items for you to achieve it, kind of like the Lucky Charms from Miraculous. She would believe in giving you the motivation to achieve it. Like, she gives you the necessary push so you could achieve that wish someday. I imagine Laura to be this sweet and kind woman, someone who is deeply in love with the mortal race and their will and their drive to create. She's empathetic. She feels what others are feeling. She feels their wishes, their dreams. She has this motherly role towards mortal life. She wants to see them grow and expand. Even though she is a kind and gentle woman, she still has a few enemies. Since she doesn't exactly grant wishes directly, a few people have gotten upset with her because they didn't understand that she gives you the push you need to your wish. She doesn't give it to you, you have to earn it. How I imagine she would get together with Cad is he's like on this quest that is requiring him to kill Laura. To him, money is money. He didn't really believe she was an actual goddess, just this woman who he has to kill. And pause for a minute. I just need to take a moment and say how bad I am writing scripts because what the fudge is this? This is at the ending of the video on Cad Highgate. What even is this? But as I was saying, Cad just thinks this is another quest, looking forward to the gold at the end. Once he actually meets Laura, he is actually taken aback by her excitement towards him because he had this mental image in his head that she was this evil witch that lured people in with the promise of their wishes being granted. But she immediately popped that idea in his head because she was fascinated by him. I mean, to him, who wouldn't be? She'd likely say that she's never seen a mortal with a unique physique as his. Like, eyes on someone's body isn't really common. She is just complimenting him left and right, and he is soaking it all up. To be honest, I don't have a solid idea of how they would fall in love with each other, or mainly how Cad would fall in love with Laura, because I wrote him to be so self-absorbed, but thinking about it now, I can totally imagine that because she is complimenting him, he would completely ditch the idea of the quest. He would, like, why would he kill someone who is actually complimenting him and not trying to kill him for being pretty? He would also 100% believe people are trying to kill him because they are jealous of him, not because he is so obnoxious that they make their ears bleed. But I see him visiting her every day just to hear more compliments and to tell her stories about his amazing and wonderful adventures and how awesome he is. Lady Laura, on the other hand, is actually overjoyed that this mortal is actually spending time with her and not just staying around so they can have their wish granted. Laura fell first, but Cad fell harder. Hear this. One day, the person who originally hired Cad storms into the temple while Cad is visiting. The man is yelling hateful words about Laura and Cad, and at some point even insults Cad's beauty before lunging towards Laura. Cad was immediately appalled by the fact that the man insulted his own beauty, and he can't have that. And he was also heading towards Laura, someone he has grown to have feelings for. But before Cad could even react, Lady Laura was in front of him, eyes glowing. To sum it up short, she scared the living daylights out of him and reminded him that she was in fact a goddess, and banished the man out of her temple. I imagine her saying something along the lines of, "Why are vile creatures like you speaking such lies that are obviously not true about my love?" And this would evidently make Cad fall for her. And I don't even know if this actually makes sense, or if it even sounds romantic, or if it could even be real. Enough about the story, let's talk more about the design. Looking at it now, I'm not really happy with it. If I could redo it, I would. And I would definitely change the way I drew her eyelashes. I didn't quite like how they turned out. I was honestly imagining and aiming towards these long, lushful lashes, like the kind where they're very detailed lashes on characters that always have their eyes closed. Other than that, other than the lashes, I am pretty content with the design, for the most part. I got lucky with the color palette. The colors fit so well. I did slightly adjust them a bit so they would be brighter, because if I actually colored pick from the actual images, they would be very muted. Another thing I want to fuck that. Another thing I would change would be the wings. They just need a little bit more work. I should have just colored each layer of the wings of the feathers one color instead of blurring the colors together. I think the individual colors of the layers would be more animator friendly because. God, I am not good at this. Let's move on to the next character. Please bear with me. This is the 6th time I've recorded this section, and I am struggling to speak, so please bear with me. For this character, I got a bird who is mid-flight and with the moon perfectly in between its wings, a model with long hair and the name Sika in front of it, and a purple gothic-looking layered outfit. Weirdly enough, unlike Lady Laura's outfit, I was looking forward to drawing this outfit. I don't know why, but I felt more comfortable drawing this outfit, which is weird because this is technically more detailed than the other outfit. This character is named Lady Sika, the goddess of the night and the sea. I loosely got this idea from Avatar: The Last Airbender. You know, when Princess Yu, who holds part of the moon spirit within her, she later sacrificed herself to become the moon spirit again. Another thing I thought about was how the moon had a gravitational pull on the ocean. That's where the splashing of the waves comes from. And since one of the photos is a seabird, I just kind of went along with the ocean idea. To be honest, I don't know what she would actually provide to the mortals. Within different mythologies, the moon is often associated with feminine energy. I would think Lady Sika's followers would be mostly consistent of women who seek independence and power. I don't mean power like actual power like being a queen or president or high rank in society. I mean power like in confidence and self-protection. I really want her to be like the protector of women, who protects women from life, basically. Thinking about it now, I am probably going to make her the goddess of the night, the sea, and of women. Now, more about her design, I very much leaned into the bird aspect for Sika. I tried to reverse search the type of bird that was in one of the photos, and it only really narrowed down my search to the European herring gull or the common gull, which I, to be honest, don't even know if it's an actual type of seagull. With that in mind, I just made her feet a generic seagull feet, which is kind of hard because I wanted her whole bottom half to be a bird, so that means her knees would be the opposite way compared to human anatomy. That was my major problem with this drawing. I couldn't for the life of me understand how to transition her hips to her knees, but thinking about it now, I should have looked up the difference between human anatomy and seagull anatomy, specifically their bone structure. To talk more about her design, I would very much change how I drew her legs with that idea in mind. I would lean more into the seagull anatomy and make her more like a siren from Greek mythology, the bird with the woman's face. Another route I could take was the centaur approach, just made her body an actual body of the seagull, and then her human half would just be like the neck of the bird. Here's a very horrible representation of what I mean. Kind of like how Fallon's monster form in Dungeon Meshi, where she is attached with the dragon. But that's in the past now. Let's talk about how she met Cad. Similar to Lady Laura, I have zero clue how she would actually fall for Cad. I imagine Sika to have a very similar personality to Vaggie in Hazbin Hotel. She is loyal and compassionate, but quick to anger. I feel like she would have a dislike or distrust towards men. Maybe Lady Sika was very close to Lady Laura, because they're both goddesses. I see Sika slowly start to fall for Laura at first, because she is such a kind and gentle woman. Who wouldn't fall for that? Definitely a stark difference to herself. Sika would meet Cad through Laura. She was put off by the sight of him and slightly angered at the fact that a man has stolen the heart of the woman she loves. I know this section is about Sika, but I imagine Cad fell in love for Laura, he grew as a person. He is still that self-absorbed person, but he became more self-aware of others' feelings, more aware of the world around him, more compassionate for mortal life. He learned to love mortals the same way Laura does. With that said, I believe he would be more palatable for Sika. I totally imagine them two to constantly butt heads, basically fighting for Laura's affection. Think of it like a semi-friendly competition. I don't know if it will make sense, but I can see Sika slowly start to fall for Cad. I feel like Cad would fall first, and then Sika. It would definitely be a slow process. Cad would likely take an interest in what Sika does, and even offer her proper offerings, which she doesn't receive much from men, so it was very off-putting. Again, she is a goddess primarily for women. I like to think what sealed the deal is he helped a woman who was being attacked. Please don't take this as women need protection from men, because editing Marlon here, the phrasing was a bit bad. I meant women don't need a man's protection, meaning like she can protect herself. She doesn't need a man to protect her. That's what I mean. So editing me out, because it's not true. It just not what I'm trying to say. Honestly, I don't know exactly if I want to keep that because it just feels off. But let's move on to the next character. Finally, we are on the final character. For this character, I got white wings, lips that are painted like a flower, and dark blue stockings with silver stars and moon patterns. I had more freedom with this one compared to the other two. This character is Lady Mary, goddess of innocence and dreams. I believe she would have similar powers to Princess Luna from My Little Pony, where she can enter this realm where dreams manifest. It's becoming common that I don't have a lot of stories when it comes to characters. I just have an idea and branch off of it. Lady Mary is pretty much cut and dry when it comes to what she does as a goddess. She controls dreams and protects the innocent, which mostly commonly known as children. Her design is where I struggled the most. I couldn't for the life of me figure out the colors. They were all too similar but also clashed at the same time. I think the color I decided to use for a skin tone is a bit too light with the much darker color palette. Another thing I struggled with, which is purely because I got lazy, was the star pattern. I didn't want to draw every little moon and star that are on the stockings, and her design is pretty simple for the most part. I changed the way I drew her clothing and mainly the stars and adjust her color palette. Let's talk about her connection with Cad. I have a feeling that Mary met Cad through his dreams. She mistook his dream being surrounded by mirrors as a nightmare, because he is covered in eyes and it could be easily misinterpreted as showing how much of a freak he is. But she was painfully wrong when she started to check himself out, telling himself how good he looked. So at this point of writing this, I was talking to my bestie because I was struggling to understand how these beautiful goddesses can fall in love with such an arrogant, self-absorbed man. And my friend clocked me so hard that I couldn't stop laughing. He said, and I quote, "Girl, you based him on that guy from Demon Slayer, the one who gets his arm cut off that has like 3 or 4 wives." Yes, he is talking about Tengen Uzui. The reason why I lost it was because in the original video where I spoke about Cad, I in fact made a realization that it was basically Tengen, and I felt like I was totally mischaracterizing Tengen, and you could see that earlier in the video. But after getting another person to confirm it, I just definitely felt more relaxed. With that in mind, I am just gonna come back to this because I want to give these girls a proper love story. The video is already getting long. I'm going to end it here because I want to give it more thought. Alright, so we made it to the end of the video. Thank you for watching and thank you for the support. If you're interested in commissions, you can message me on TikTok, Instagram, Tumblr, and Bluesky. I also want to note that I am starting school. So by the time I post this, I'm going to be in college and I am not going to be posting as much because with my schedule and how everything is, it's definitely going to be a very hectic. So I'm still going to try to post, but don't get your hopes up. Bye bye!